there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God as our Father. Family, all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin. Let it begin. Let it begin with me. With me.
Thank you, Millie Edwards and Robert Farrago. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity Temple in the Plaza, a place where diversity is praised and peace and harmony. Mike, we have a mic. For those of you who aren't fond of organized religion, you can see that we are not that at all. So, hello? Hello, everybody. And welcome to Unity Temple in the Plaza, a place where diversity is praised and peace and harmony the rewards. I welcome you here this morning to this special service. It is dedicated to world peace as well as to Ukraine. We have some very special guests that are going to give us a little bit more insight into what's going on in that part of the world. But for now, as we begin the service, I invite you all to join with me in saying the priest's prayer. Please say this with me if you choose. On this day, we dedicate ourselves to peace on earth. We accept ourselves without harsh judgment and express appreciation for our individuality. We live without fear to meet the events of this day with confidence. We accept others without prejudice to experience a sense of unity with all people. We honor our earthly environment and recognize a oneness with all creation. In harmony with ourselves, our lives, the people, and all the world, we live this day with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. Thank you, God. Amen.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone.
I would like to introduce you to Allah. And Allah, oh, we need a mic. Allah, how do you pronounce your last name?
Aranovskaya.
And you're from?
From Russia. I don't know where I'm from because my grandparents, they born and live in Ukraine, and my grandparents from other side lives in Belarus. And my father was born in Ukraine, but then right after Second World War, because his family was huge Jewish family of 6 kids, so parents at age 14 sent him to St. Petersburg to get some money, and he get to St. Petersburg, Russia, and he met my mom, and they produced me. And every year until I was 10, every summer I spent in Ukraine, so I don't know who I am.
Well, you're here right now, and that's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
And tell me, what is your musical background, or who are you affiliated with?
So, I mean, my family generally was very musical, especially from father's side. So my grandfather, he was rabbi in a small Ukrainian town, Overich, on the border of the Belarus and Ukraine. And right now, and everybody think I have a composer, but my parents, they were not musical My mom was the teacher at the kindergarten. My dad just worked somewhere in a maintenance. Yeah. So it was like very strange. We live in St. Petersburg in a very small apartment, and it was not apartment, it was room in an apartment. So in this room lives my grandmother, grandfather, both of their daughters, so my mom and her sister, me, my older cousin, 6 years old, I remember, and their husbands. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 people in room, about 22 square meters. So we had a little piano, and my cousin, she started to have a private piano lessons because my aunt, she actually still alive. She is 95, and she was very, educated person. So she hired a teacher, and teachers started to come to our room to teach my cousin, and I was just, hanging around. I was 4 years younger, so I was 2.5, and it was big celebration. So whole family came in together, and we have a meal. And then suddenly, I was 2.5. I just walked to the piano and started to play by finger a famous song. Just I saw on the TV, and they understood that they have to teach me piano. So.
Well, thank you. Now, I understand that you have quite a reach throughout the world, actually.
Yeah.
And who is streaming in on this service today?
So we streaming to whole world because I have friends from Australia to China to England, Ireland. I even have a couple friends in Africa. We never performed in Africa. St. Petersburg Quartet performed this is my 37th season.
37th.
Yes, yeah, I'm old enough. Yes, so right now, if the link posted in my account, so at least maybe 100,000 people watching, and also I send it to the people, the link, who have a hold like 600,000 prayers right now, so they can watch this stream. If they will be not on time, then I will send them links. So we have quite big, and also Ukraine. I'm in contact in Ukraine in the first circle of, close to Vladimir Zelensky, the president. So as soon as, I say something, they immediately, declare. Or, for example, 2 days ago, we played here a fundraising concert for Ukrainian. We collected the money, and the piece that we're going to play today was, I will tell later about the piece before we will start, but the money immediately going to the Ukraine. And for example, the 1,500s that we collected day before yesterday, here, they will save life of 7 people because they need to buy special helmets for the soldiers, and they cost $250. So,
Does your reach go out to the soldiers in Ukraine?
Yes, I know many people, there is my students, they're my friend, and part of my family. Yeah. So it's going to be directly to the soldiers.
And I understand the first piece you played for us was the Ukraine national anthem.
Yes, anthem.
And what are you going to play for us now?
So I will sing.
Sing? Good.
Yeah, I will sing. This is my memory from my childhood when I spent time in Ukraine. And we sing. Yeah, Ukrainian just sing all the time, whatever they're doing. So I will sing a song. I will translate in English as much as I can. So I'm looking at the sky, and I'm just thinking, why I'm not eagle? Why I'm not flying? Why, God, you didn't give me the wings? I will, leave this earth, and I will fly to the sky.
Very nice.
So, okay.
Thank you,
yeah,
sir.
I will sing from there. Do. Yeah.
на небо, та й думку гадаю, чому я не сокіл, чому не літаю, чому же ти, Боже, мне крилов не дав? Я б землю покинув, та й небо злетав.
Right now, he's from Warrensburg. About 3 months ago, we became good friends. Had several discussions since then, and he brings very rare insights to many different situations that we've talked about. So I've invited him here to get his perceptions of what's going on with our world at this time from a generation that is different than mine and much younger than mine. So Rory, would you please come forward? Well, everybody in this room has been touched to some extent by what is going on in Ukraine. There's economic effects that are negative on all of us. There are emotional effects that are negative on all of us. I find myself at times wandering off the spiritual path and engaging in all sorts of different emotions that don't serve me and they don't really serve the world, but they just seem so natural. So Roy, would you share with us what you think is going on right now, what your opinion is?
So right now there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. A lot of feelings are being brought up in people that they're not really familiar with because we get really comfortable, and that's what we've seen with a lot of generations right now. And so when this has happened, a lot of people are learning about it through social media. Thank you very much for singing and connecting us with your roots, because that really reminds us that we're not just individuals having an experience, that we're all really interconnected in some way, and it's important for us to really explore how we're feeling about that, which there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear that's coming up, a lot of unknowns that are happening, and even though we may try to ignore it in different ways, it's showing up. Exactly what you were saying, economically, spiritually, we're being tested in different ways, socially, different viewpoints, different understandings, so it's important that we become more aware of that. And I know that you had written something about a week ago that really stood out to me, and it was on how we are all interconnected. Would you mind kind of explaining that more and reminding us?
No, not at all. We know that there is no break in the connectedness in this world. Every human being is connected to every other human being. Yet at the same time, as a result of the thoughts we think, it feels like there's a disconnection. And if there's anything that comes out of this, I believe, Putin has increased within us the consciousness of oneness. He has brought us all together in a way where a vast majority of the world stands for Ukraine and is against what Putin is doing. We're all connected in that regards. Most of us do not like what is going on. At the same time, knowing that, I find myself breaking that connection. As I move down my spiritual path in life, I find myself getting angry, and I don't like being an angry person. I find myself with hateful thoughts in regards to those people that have caused this, and I don't like being a hateful person. The thing that makes me the angriest is that I feel my peace of mind has been stolen from me. It's been taken. But I also know that it's me that is in charge of my thoughts. Mr. Putin doesn't control what I think. And it doesn't serve anybody in this world if I'm a hateful person or if I'm an angry person and I spew those kind of words or thoughts out into the world. I constantly have to bring myself back to knowing that I have to move towards what I want, the kind of person I want to be, the kind of life that I want to live, which is one of love and peace and harmony. And I know that I can do that, but it takes practice, especially when we're bombarded on a daily basis with all the bad news. So primarily for me, I find myself having to do what's called a pattern interruption, which I interrupt the pattern of my thoughts that are hateful and angry and negative, and just bring myself back to a point, what do I want in my life? What do I want for the people in Ukraine? What do I want for this world? And I just take a moment to reflect on peace and on harmony. So, Roy, what do you do with those hateful thoughts that seem so natural? I mean, they don't seem like an invader. They seem like a part of me that is coming out. How do you manage that?
So for me personally, and as we walk, as we study the master teacher, or if we study any of the world religions, which we're ultimately here to grow in our spiritual awareness and spiritual walk, is everything in life is here to teach us something. So when we can step outside of our feelings and begin to ask the question, what is this here to teach me? Then you become more of a student of life, because everything appears and it has a lesson within it if we can open ourselves to that. It may not be clear as we're going through it, and I'm sure you can think back throughout your lives on a lot of different experiences where at the time, yeah, it sucked. It was scary. It was hard. But when you look back, there was something that you gained and that you gleaned from it. So as I look at this situation and as I talk to my friends, and I live in a military community, there's a lot of uncertainty as to what's going to happen coming up. Can we take a moment just to pause and to breathe and to reflect and say, well, what am I feeling right now? What is causing this anger? What is causing this fear? And something that you had mentioned earlier with us all being interconnected is that deep within us, we understand that what's happening right now to so many people, how could another human being do that? I just left from the Holocaust Museum on the Union, and we think, how is it that something so terrible happened? Surely mankind knows better than to go through something like this again, to where so many people are dying unnecessarily. But somewhere deep down inside, we know that the individual is better than that. So what part of us needs healed? How did this end up happening in a way that's reflective of something that's happened in the past? Where's the awakening that needs to come? And so we need to really address that in ourselves, because it's our own individual walks to say, where do I need to heal in this? What is this here to teach me? What about someone who's standing next to you right now? Because as we're going through this with so much fear about what's going on in the Ukraine, asking ourselves, what could I say to someone who's more scared than I am that's standing next to me, and help them begin to heal the process? Then that I hope lessen the fear and the hate that you have. It's not to say that it's going to go away, but it will help lessen that so that you're more present. And what she was singing in, let peace begin with me, remember that. Really carry those words. It's easy to say, but it's something also more in depth as we start to explore that and as we begin to express that in our own walk. So as a whole, Duke, whether the conflict's at home or it's international, does it hold significance to the whole of our being and our personal lives and our world?
Well, everything that happens in this world begins with a thought. What is going on right now in Ukraine happened with the thought in Putin's head. And he focused on that thought, and it grew, and it became an obsession with him to dominate and control a different country in a different world. So when I encourage people to focus on peace and on harmony and on a world that is fair and just for everybody, it doesn't mean to ignore what's going on. It doesn't mean that I'm just going to focus on my life and be happy and be at peace. But it does mean that we hold that vision for the entire world, that we think thoughts of the entire world coming to a place of peace. That is the vision. Now, some people have accomplished this, what we're striving for, many of the religious leaders. But I mean, even Jesus had his times where he had to step off the path of love, peace, and harmony, and he got angry with people. But the fact of the matter is, it didn't become a lifestyle. It didn't become the way of his ministry. It simply became, I am feeling these, I am going to acknowledge them, I am going to express them, and then I get back on my path. As we hold the vision for the world, that is what the world will become, whether it's in our lifetime or whether it's 500 years from now. But the good is good for everybody, and the bad is not good. So that is the vision that I hold going forward. And do you think that's a realistic expectation? I mean, to have a world that is totally at peace.
That's a great path to question and to wonder is, can we have peace on earth? And I've met a lot of individuals where they truly believe that that day will someday come. And the world is a big place. Would we all agree with that? And you can't change the world all in yourself, but what you can do, if we look at ourselves as a spiritual body, which we are, which Russia is connected to that, the Ukraine's connected to that, there's an illness on part of the body. And let's say that you're on this fingertip, you're a cell on this part of the body of spirit, but over here is where Russia's at. Now, you directly may not be connected to Russia, but what you are connected to are a lot of other cells and other parts of this body that need healed. And so you can begin where you're at. Because would we all agree that there's probably hurt someplace in your life? There's someone hurting next to you. There's a lot of people hurting over in Russia. And we can talk about it, otherwise we can start taking action. Because you need to hold in your heart what is the long-term goal. But even in climbing a mountain, you can't just focus on, I'm going to be at the summit, which would be, let's say, world peace, and suddenly be there. There's a massive climb to go along the way. And as you're going along the way, you'll find out maybe there's something that's missing. Because if Duke and I, and we're both pretty motivated guys, we're like, we're going to change the world. But then we arrive at the foot of the mountain of world peace, and we realize, wow, we don't have on any boots, Duke. What do we need to do? And then there's other people who have experience on how to climb that mountain. That's other people, and that's learning from history. That's learning from those who are going through this experience. Like your story, you have so much experience. It's such a beautiful thing. I want to learn from it. And so we start to gather the equipment so we can begin the climb. The summit is there. It is reachable. Will it be easy? I believe, let's use Mount Everest as the example. If we go along the way, what are we going to find? Some casualties that didn't quite make it all the way, right? But there's lessons, and we say, oh, look at this. We need to go and get an extra coat, Duke, before we continue this climb. Then it's important that we go and get that. What is that? That's the wisdom, that's the insight, that's plugging in with people who have the resources to help us make the change, like the Red Cross, like the Rotary organization. There's so many different things that we can start to plug into to make the difference. But if all we do is we sit at home and we say, Duke, dadgummit, we need to change the world, but let's just sit here a little bit longer. The change isn't going to come. So it's step by step. And it is absolutely attainable. It may not be in our lifetimes, but if you give up on it, then it will never happen. So you have to believe in your heart of hearts that world peace and change can come, but it's a step-by-step gradual progression. And so start with where you're at. How can you do healing in your own life with the people around you, with your community, with your town, city, state? And then it will grow from there to where ultimately that can be attained. But you have to believe, and you can never give up, as dire as things may seem at certain times. So each day, actually, Duke, what tools can we use during these times to assist us with those feelings of discouragement? Because maybe we feel like we can make a change, but there's a lot of discouragement, a lot of uncertainty. What kind of tools could we use to help bring ourselves back to that path?
Well, I think everything that we need to create peace is within us. And the first thing that we really have to do is to become aware. Become aware of what our thoughts are, become aware of what our thinking is, become aware of what our vision is. You know, there's an old Taoist saying, which is a Chinese philosophy, that if you want peace in the home, you must have peace in your heart. If you want peace in the neighborhood, you must have peace in the home. If you want peace in the community, you must have peace in the neighborhood. If you have peace in the city, you need to have peace in the community. If you want peace in the state, you need to have peace in the community. And if you want to have peace in the world, you need to have peace in this country. And that all begins with each and every one of us. If we move forward and become aware of what we're thinking, and if those negative thoughts that don't serve us, that don't serve anything that's around us, it's time to just stop, recharge, and change our thinking. You know, when I first started learning how to drive, my father took me out on a gravel road, and he put me behind the wheel, and he put it in gear. He says, okay, there you go. And I said, what do I do? He said, all you got to do is just stay between the ditches. And it was really that simple. And once I started driving, it became easy. All we have to do is stay between the ditches of the mind. Stay on the positive path, on the peaceful path, on that which is good for everybody, not just ourselves. Before we move into meditation, Roy, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
Absolutely, and this is a practice that you can do every single day. And it's important that you do that. So just for 5 minutes a day, just take time to reflect and practice the extension of love and forgiveness, even to the most extreme people. People like Putin, to where we have no idea what he's thinking, what causes someone to act in such a way. Can we practice forgiveness? Because at the end of the day, remember, we're all part of a whole. And it's important that we forgive certain, even when we look at our own individual lives, there might be a pain. to where we've had trouble forgiving ourselves. So maybe it starts with you forgiving you, but extend that just for 5 minutes of love and forgiveness to everyone, because everyone has their own struggles in different ways. Even though we don't see what that may be, there's a lot of Russians to where we may be angry at them, but they have no idea. We've heard about these young Russians who are going overseas, and they didn't even know they were going over there. They thought they were going to a training camp. And so we can curse the Russians as a whole. Otherwise, we can say everyone's got their individual experience. Maybe they're part of something they don't even understand what they're doing. And so can I practice forgiveness? It doesn't mean that you won't be without anger. Like he was stating, Jesus got angry. It's okay to get angry sometimes. Don't be hard on yourself about that. But just for 5 minutes a day, practice forgiveness, sit in silence, and say to yourself, I know that everything is working. And just hold that in your thoughts for about 5 minutes a day, and that will begin to change everything.
That's very important. Even though we cannot see it working right now, we know that it is. It has in the past, it will in the future, because good always overcomes the bad and the evil. This week I had somebody come to me, and they were quite upset with what was going on. And they said, is it okay to pray that Putin dies? Is it okay to pray that somebody kills him? And I said, well, let's maybe pray that he's removed from his position. Maybe the ultimate prayer would be that he has a complete transformation of mind, and he sees that what he is up to is no good for him in the long run or anybody else. Let's just pray that we move forward and that this does not become something that we carry forward as we move into the future. So we're going to watch a slideshow now, and it's a meditational slideshow. We're going to look at different things in Ukraine, and then we'll have a moment of silence.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always
completely relaxed. And with our own thoughts and our own feelings, pray that what Ukraine once was, it once again will be. A place of beauty, a place of safety, a place of harmony, a place of love, a place that we care about, and a place that cares about us. We'll now move into the silence. Now let us slowly become back to this time and this place. And as we do so, let's come back with our hope fortified, with our faith fortified, with our vision fortified, knowing that we do make a difference. We move towards the vision that each of us has for a peaceful life in a peaceful world. And so it is.
We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we are not afraid today.
Can you hear me?
Okay, 3 days ago, our friend of our quartet, the composer Jeremiah Bornfield, just called me, sent me message, actually not called, he sent me message in Facebook. Alla, heard recently the speech of Vladimir Zelensky at the United Nations, and some of the words was so powerful, and I just jumped to my table and I wrote the piece that I dedicated, that I dedicated to you, and this piece called Zelensky, and the little text under, "This is my answer to the killers of our future." And right now we're gonna play this piece. He sent it to me by PDF file, and we will play just this piece right now for you.
Believe you me, every public square that exists in Ukraine today, no matter what you know it as now, will be called Freedom Square. Nobody is going to break us. We are strong. We are Ukrainians.
For the leader of the choir, Psalm of David. Save me, Lord, from the villain, from the one who lives by violence. Keep me. From those who plot evil in their hearts, who start wars every day. They sharpen their tongues like snakes, the poison of a scorpion, and it's always on their lips. Save me, Lord, from the hands of the vicious, from those who live by violence, from those who planned to knock me down. Haughty traps were hidden for me. Snares were spread out on my path. Traps are set up for me forever. I said to the Lord, "You are my God." Listen, Lord, to the voice of my prayer. The Lord, the power that brings me salvation. You covered my head on the day of battle. Do not let, Lord, the desires of the villain come true. Do not let his plans come true, so that they do not triumph forever. Let him cover the leader of the evil of his mouth besieging me. An evil-speaking person will not establish himself on earth. He who lives by violence will catch evil and overthrow it. I know that the Lord will avenge the destitute, will give justice to the poor, and the righteous will glorify your name. The upright will dwell before your face.
One minute. Sorry, we're supposed to play just this piece and finish that. But when I watched this incredible movie, we decided to play something else. So, as you know, many Russian soldiers, young boys like 18, 20 years old, they sent there without knowledge. They were playing. The generals told them that they're going to do something, but they sent them to Ukraine. They sent them to kill their brothers in Ukraine. And many of them died, and Ukrainian boys died, and Ukrainian soldiers died. So we would like to play for you lullaby for peace in hands of God to them who died during that time, this horrible time. Sorry. It's called Lullaby by Glier, Russian Lithuanian composer.
like you three to come forward and put your instruments down and sing a peace song with us. Roy, would you come forward too, please? Ala was telling me earlier that she has a following in Ukraine, and that as we were doing this service, it was streamed to many people in Ukraine that are under attack, and also many soldiers that are there. So they're with us today. And if you're listening, our hearts are with you, our minds are with you, and our perseverance is with you. Continue forward, and we so appreciate you. We'll finish the service today with the prayer of protection, which is the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to say just a couple words. We have some CDs of St. Petersburg Quartet and the books, so any donations will go, immediately. Like tomorrow, it will be sent to Ukraine, and it will help them to stay. Thank you so much. Thank you.